Hello, welcome back. Happy Friday. Hope you're well. Hope you've had a good day, a good week, and it's the weekend, and what could be better than that other than having some great content to watch on YouTube? You tell me. I'm not saying this is going to be great content because it might be completely and utterly shit, but who knows? I hope you do seriously find some good content to watch on YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing a video about my own personal experiences with the paranormal, mainly with my old house that I used to live in, which was haunted. And yeah, it's kind of, you're going to learn a little bit about me, I suppose, and about my personal experiences. So yeah, a little bit different today, but hopefully you enjoy it. I'm going to stop waffling as usual, although I know some people like me waffling. You know, what can I say? Anyway, I'll shut up. We'll get on with the video, and yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do the video. Ghost stories, or encounters as it's better known, if they're true life events people experience, can be terrifying but also completely fascinating. As I've said before, I used to live in a haunted house. I even promised that I'd tell you about it. I did do a video a long while ago explaining, but I'll happily talk about it now. Seeing as other people have even given me their accounts, I'll go into mine. So, back in 1996, I moved into a council house, just me and my daughter back then. She was 5 years old, and we had previously lived in a maisonette, which I loved, and had a garden, but I had to go down the stairs for the garden, as there was a flat underneath my maisonette. So, my brother's mate lived with his mum in a 3-bedroom house, and she wanted to exchange. Now, if you're unfamiliar with house exchange, it is exactly that. You basically swap houses with another council tenant. Back then, it was fairly straightforward, unlike now. I suppose it was easy for me then because I wanted a garden I could step into from the back door and not have to go downstairs to get to it. And then when offered this basically on a plate, I jumped at the chance. I'll skip to the moving in day. It was a manic day. My parents had helped me move all my stuff in, and they helped me hang some curtains in the bedrooms and the living room. By the time they left, I put my daughter to bed and was tidying the cups from the living room. I took them to the sink in the kitchen to wash. Now, before I continue, you should know, my kitchen had 2 entrances, through the living room and through the hall by the stairs. The door in the hall was a sort of a stable type door for some reason, I've no idea why. Anyway, I was washing all the cups, and I happened to look up the window to the garden. Now it's night, so as you know, with lights on inside you can't see anything outside in the window, other than your own reflection in that room. So because we hadn't put any blinds or curtains up in the kitchen yet, so it was dark outside. So when I looked up, I saw my own reflection. But behind me was the half door, and behind that stood a tall man. I quickly spun around, but nobody was there. I ran around downstairs, but nothing. So I ran upstairs to check my daughter and the other rooms. Again, nothing. I was puzzled. I know what I saw, and he was most definitely there. It freaked me out a bit, I have to say. So I abandoned the cups and I made double sure the doors were all locked and took myself and then my dog up to bed. Next morning, I explained it to my mum. She was shocked and said maybe it was my imagination. It wasn't. I know what I saw. Now, as you can imagine, I was spooked, but I didn't let it faze me. I carried on with daily life and was fine. Then, there was other things that I noticed along the way. I used to smell cigarette smoke, like when someone's just lit up. You know that strong smell? I smelt that a lot and I couldn't get my head around it. I smoked myself back then, but as a social smoker only, like when I went out. Rarely when I was at home, and hardly ever if I was on my own. It wasn't a lingering old smoke smell either. Every time it happened, it was as if someone had sort of sat next to me and lit up. It was very strong. Now, as weird as that was, it wasn't all. I used to hear my name being called. The first time this happened was when I was getting ready to go out for a night out with my friends. My parents were looking after my daughter, and I'd showered, gone up to the bedroom to get dressed, because the bathroom was downstairs because it was an old house. Anyway, I was drying my hair with my dryer and I heard my mum calling me from downstairs. I turned off my hairdryer and shouted down, "Yeah?" But nothing. I must have imagined it, I thought. Carried on drying my hair. A few moments later, another shout. So I got up to see what she was doing here, like, maybe she'd come to collect something for my daughter. So I went to the top of the stairs expecting her to see her at the bottom. Nothing. So I went down, followed by my dog. Went in my living room, empty. Kitchen, empty. I was baffled and freaked out. I knew what I heard and I immediately called my mum on the phone. When I asked if she'd just popped in, she said no. Now, I was scared, so I rang my friend and said I was coming to get ready at hers, and I took my dog and off we went. Now, you'd think by now I was going mad, right? I did. Or at the very least suspected the house was haunted. My friend used to come over and never once stay because she said the house freaked her out. I used to just laugh, but I knew what she meant. I experienced some things for a while longer and almost got used to it, if that's possible. But I never saw the tall man again. Yet. Now, a few years later, I met my husband. He moved in before we got married. I was glad for the extra adult company, for more reasons than one. It was when he started to experience things too that I knew I wasn't going mad. He also used to hear someone calling his name, especially when he was having a shower. He said it sounded like me and always used to ask me why I didn't answer him when he called back to me, only it wasn't me. This happened to us a lot. I used to hear him calling me too, even when he was at work. And then the footsteps started. He was at work one day. My daughter was at school and I was working on some website designs I did back then, on my computer in our spare room. I remember it was a warm sunny day, it was around 2 p.m. or thereabouts, and I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. And they weren't faint footsteps either, they were heavy, like loud even. I turned around to look at the landing, expecting to see my husband coming up. Nothing. Nobody appeared. I got up and looked, but there was nobody in the house but me and my dog. He was asleep next to me at my feet, and he was small. He didn't make that much noise anyway. No, these were like human footsteps. I never saw anyone that made them though. It was creepy. I experienced footsteps a few times after that. The other thing I remember was the loft. I hated it. Now, I'm not one to like lofts or attics, whichever you want to know it as. I find them creepy places anyway, but I remember when I first moved in and my dad got in the loft. He went up there to put some stuff up there for me, and I stood on the ladder with my head in the hole and immediately felt like someone was looking at me. I had a creepy feeling and just had to come down. I never went in that loft again. Now, fast forward back to when my husband was there. He went up there to get something out and found loads of men's things and a walking stick. They certainly weren't mine. This is reminding me of like when I first moved in. I was about to put things away in the built-in wardrobe in my bedroom and opened the door to find a man's suit and a rack of ties hanging there. Shocked I was, to say the least. It just freaked me out. I quickly bagged them up, took them to my brother's to give to his mate, as they clearly belonged to his dad. So the things in the loft that my husband found were obviously belonging to him too. It was weird though, because they were all just left behind. I could never really quite understand why. Then I found out that his mate's dad died in the house. I'm not sure if he fell downstairs or if he had a heart attack at the bottom of the stairs, but I believe it was around the hall downstairs. And apparently he smoked a fair bit too, which might have explained things more for me if I'd have known this sooner. But still, I digress. So, the loft, the wardrobe, the footsteps, the name calling, the smoke smells. You'd think that'd be enough, right? No, that's not it. Now, my husband used to go away sometimes for work, and he was away this one time on a course. It was the evening, and I was chatting to him on the phone. The next thing I know, a strong smell of like Savlon antiseptic cream wafted past my nose. It was so strong. I knew I hadn't used any, and my daughter was asleep upstairs. It was odd. I remember telling my husband about it on the phone as it had happened, because just as quick as it was there, it went again, like a flash. Now, when my daughter was young, she used to have an imaginary friend she used to speak to, or so I thought. The weird thing was, when I asked her who she was talking to, she said, "He is called Dennis." And don't get me wrong, but it's not the sort of name a child would normally come up with for their imaginary friend, now is it? Who knows? Another thing that I'll never forget is, one night I got up to go to the toilet, bearing in mind that my bathroom was downstairs. It was opposite the living room door and next to the kitchen. So I came down, I sat on the toilet, and the handle started moving up and down as if someone was trying to get in. And me thinking it was just one of the kids, I said, "Hold on, I'll be out in a minute." Then it started again, up and down, quite fast. I shouted out again, and it made me rush to wash my hands, as I thought one of the children was bursting for a wee or something. I opened the door, expecting to see one of them, but there was nobody there. Odd. I thought, I just sort of assumed that they'd gone back up to bed. As I closed the bathroom door and made my way to the stairs, I happened to look in the living room as it was next to the stairs, and that's where I saw it. The tall man, I saw him again. This time he was standing next to my armchair in the darkness. I did a double take and I switched the light on. Nothing. Nobody there. But he was definitely there. I know he was. It freaked me out, so I switched off the light. I ran upstairs, checked both of my kids, and they were both fast asleep. It didn't look like either of them had been out of bed. I went and woke up my husband. Now, because of everything that happened so far, I sort of wanted proof. Back then, my dad had a camcorder, and I asked to borrow it. We set it up in the living room on a bookcase we had, left it recording overnight. Next day, when we watched it back, there was definitely orbs, and I know some people say that they're like specks of dust. Very possibly, but nothing was there causing the air to be disturbed for dust to be flying around. That's not all though. The more we watched, the more we saw. The camera was set on a bookcase, like I said, and it moved, like physically moved. Quite a lot actually, like someone was actually pushing it, moving it. Now I know it wasn't any of us as we were all in bed asleep. It was around 3 AM I think when it moved. It was very strange. I'm gutted that back then there was no YouTube, or I didn't save the footage because I most definitely would have uploaded it here. It was something else that we couldn't explain. Even my parents were surprised. Now you'd think that I'd want to move out of all that was going on, but not once did we feel threatened or anything bad. It was like it was just trying to get us to notice it, and we most definitely did. In fact, when my son was a toddler, he used to point up the stairs all the time and say, "Look." And when we did, we saw nothing. They say that kids are susceptible to seeing spirits though, don't they? Who knows what he kept seeing? Maybe it was Dennis. Now, the other time was when he was older, and I saw something else. Our driveway in that house was in our back garden, and there was a field behind the house with a private access road to get to the driveway. So obviously we always parked in the back. One day, after dropping my son at school, I came home and got out of my car, looked up at the house, and I saw someone standing on at my landing window looking at me. I couldn't see if it was a man or a woman, as it was a bit far away, but there was someone there. Now, my daughter was at school, as was my son, my husband's at work, and only me and the dog and cat were home. When I went in, I looked around, there was no one there. Another very strange feeling. Now, as I said, we had a dog, and 99% of the time he would come out with me wherever I went. But on the odd occasion, When he couldn't come, he hated being left in the house alone. And we know this because he used to jump up and down at the back door continually. He was a cross Stafford Jack Russell, so he was like really small, as in like not a tall dog. So when he used to jump at the door to see out the window, he used to put his paw on the door, and over time he'd worn away the plastic on the door to like bare metal. He absolutely hated it. And we only like left him sometimes, like I said. He went everywhere with us normally, because they say animals can sense spirits too, don't they? It's a very strange thing to tell people you live in a haunted house, and some would not believe you, but after everything we experienced, it's definitely unexplainable. Now, the one other thing that I can remember clearly was I had a clothes horse in our bedroom. You know, like an area to hang wet clothes on. Anyway, I was beside this, like my side of the bed, and one night I was woken from my sleep with the sound of it rattling as if someone had like fallen into it. It was metal, so if you knocked into it, then it would rattle. But this was loud, so loud that it awoke me from my sleep. Again though, there was nobody there. The really odd thing though, was that it didn't wake my husband. But then an atomic bomb could go off and he wouldn't wake, so it's not exceptionally surprising really. Now then, if you ask me if I believe in ghosts, then you should know the answer. It'll be 100% yes, because I have experienced it firsthand. Another time I could mention happened just a few months ago. We don't live in that rented house anymore. We bought our own house a few years ago in a totally different county. But this happened on a walk with my dogs. Now, you may have heard this on my guest podcast with Tommy I did, but if you haven't, then this is what happened. I was out as usual with my dogs and I was walking through a wooded area that I go through often. I heard footsteps coming running up as if someone was behind me. Both me and one of my dogs turned around expecting to see someone. I thought it was going to be a jogger because it wasn't unusual for people to be out running there. But there was nobody there. Then the footsteps ran past us, sort of behind a bush, so it was sort of to the side. And then a little way ahead of me, a little boy came out running across in front of me. I'd say he was like 10 or something, maybe not even that old. Now, because it wasn't school holidays, I thought it was odd that he wasn't at school, but thought nothing more of it. But when he was running, he looked behind him as if he was like expecting someone to chase him. So I assumed like another child would appear running after him. But no, he carried on running, and then he disappeared. When I say that, I mean it. He literally vanished in front of me. I mean, I was stunned and I almost ran to the spot to where he was just to check that he wasn't hiding or something. But there was nobody there at all, anywhere. It was very strange and something that I'll never forget. I told my husband later, and he was amused by it, but thought no more of it. Anyway, a few months went by. My husband took a few days off work and came for a walk with me and my dogs. We went to the usual place, which included the woodland area. We were walking alone through the woods, chatting. It was a lovely sunny day. Then as we were strolling along, we both turned around at the same time and he said, "Did you hear that?" to me. And I said, "Yeah, someone running." He nodded and I said, "I thought it was a jogger at first, but there was nobody there." Now, I'm glad that he said that because we both heard the same thing. Someone running up behind us. Hard, heavy footsteps. It's so strange. Definitely a haunted part of the woods. You know what's good though? Is that when someone else experiences the same things as you do. Where we live now though is a gorgeous house, and up until recently I hadn't thought that there was anything here. That was until I heard someone in our eaves. It was about 6:30 AM. My husband had just left for work and I was in bed drinking a cup of tea that he'd made me. My son was fast asleep and I was browsing my phone when I heard a noise coming from the eaves of the house. Now I need to explain where they are. In my office I've got a tiny door that you might have seen on my videos or photos. Well, that's the eaves of the house, and although the door is tiny in size, inside you can stand up and walk around. It's really quite big in there. It's so big that we've got nothing in our loft at all. We are just stored all of our things that would have gone in the loft in there. We call it our Harry Potter cupboard, but it's much bigger than Harry's was. The cupboard runs along the side of our bedroom wall as well. Anyway, back to me in bed drinking my tea. It was quiet in the house and there was a noise coming from in the eaves. It sounded like someone was in there looking through our stuff, moving things, and then there was a loud bang. It freaked me out, as the only way in or out is from through the small door. Now there's no handle on the inside, so if you got shut in there you wouldn't be able to get out until someone opened the door for you. There are no windows or gaps anywhere either, so no animals can get in. So I got up, went to look, slowly opening the door and turning on the light. I went in, there was nobody, and nothing that I could see had been moved, let alone knocked over. So what was that noise? I still to this day don't know, and that only happened just recently. Other things I can't explain have happened too. I come home one day about 12ish, lunchtime-ish, with my dogs, and we'd been for our usual walk. I was sat in the sunroom taking off my trainers when there was a noise. It was the sound of a tap running upstairs, as if someone was washing their hands, and then it stopped. I sat there frozen to the spot, like someone got in my house. My husband and son were both at work. I'd only just come home with me and the dogs, and there shouldn't be anyone else here. I took my dog's collar and I walked slowly up the stairs, looking round everywhere. Nothing and nobody. Again. Odd. Now, I've told my husband about this, and he said he heard the same thing one morning early when he was having his breakfast. It was early as well, because he gets up at I think it was like 5:45, something like that, or 5:20 to 6. So it's just gone 5:30 and he heard this noise. He thought that someone was in the bathroom. But we were like all asleep when he came up. This has happened a few times now. It's really strange. I've heard it when I've been upstairs in the toilet too, but sounding like someone was running a tap downstairs. So unless it's something to do with the boiler, then I don't know. But it puzzled us, both of us. The other thing I hear a lot is people walking around. When I'm in the bathroom or office, you can hear someone walking on the landing, like literally hear their footsteps. It's eerie. But again, I don't feel anything bad. Maybe it's me, maybe I attract them, who knows. Whatever it is, I'm cool with it, as long as it does nothing evil or bad. Then it's welcome to stick around me. All joking aside though, I do have mediums in my family and I'm very aware of things, so I could possibly be a bit open to the spiritual world more than I realise. Anyway, I hope I haven't freaked you out too much. Don't get scared.
Well then, that's that then. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it interesting and that you learned something about me. Because if you don't know me in real life, then obviously you're not going to know about all of the stuff that's happened to me throughout my life. So there's a little insight into the world of me. Yeah, so hopefully you liked it and stuff, and hopefully you'll give my video a thumbs up. And I know that's really cringy and I hate doing that, but I just feel like sometimes it's good to say it on the odd occasion. I find it really cringy, but I like to say it on the odd occasion so that you know that I know. I find it good when I get likes on my videos and when I get obviously nice comments and all of that stuff, so it's always good because then it gives me the knowledge that you're enjoying it and it's going down as I plan for it to go down and not, any other way. So, yeah, that's why I said it, and occasionally you might find me saying some cringy stuff like that. So, apologies and all that. Anyway, have yourself a great Friday, have yourself a brilliant weekend, and I will see you again next week when I'm probably be back to my ordinary haunted places and some such like. I have got content written up, I just need to do the videos for them, but I haven't decided what ones I'm going to do yet and in what order. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, have yourself a great weekend, and I'll see you again next week. If you really would like to, you can come and find me on my socials, and I will put the link in the description. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.